throwing some raw teabowls here that I've sold at the weekend. They were made out of crank, which is a really heavily grogged clay, which people think it's going to damage your hands. I mean, my hands are fairly rough anyway, but the secret to throwing with crank is that you don't put your hand direct to the wheel head. That way it gets all the skin, gets the grit trapped between your skin and the wheel head. So just centre it almost to the wheel head, and I just use a tool to finish it off. I did pot fest this last weekend, which worked out very well. Some really nice feedback. Sold a few pots. Some which I'm replacing here. Some straightforward tea bowls. What made them interesting was they were wood fired, and I got a really nice feldspar effect on the outside. So see if we can't reproduce it. What this crank does, it's really nice. It's got a lot of grog in it. You can't see it from the filter up and down. It's got a lot of grog in it, and chunks of iron. So it does fire really nicely. Let me just put a few cut marks in it. Just for a bit of effect that the wood ash gathers in. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's do another one. You can see there how much grog there is in the bottom of it. It's fairly rough. If you've got delicate hands you want to protect, you can always throw away a sponge, just as easy. Some people will throw with the sponge all the time. I don't, so I like to feel the clay. Between my fingers, it's a bit more, get a little bit more sense of what you throw in. Try and get a bit more freedom into this throwing technique I'm doing now. Try and keep it fairly loose. do one more. The pot fest that I did this last weekend had some good sales. Made a couple of sales to people that were collectors, I suppose. One gentleman came and put about 6 pieces at the end of gathered 6 pieces towards the end of the stall, and I thought he was just going to choose the best from like the half a dozen, and he says, "Oh no, I want to take all of them." So that was very nice. And funnily enough, there were all the pieces that I would have bought myself if I were buying stuff, you know. So that was a quite nice result. Is it someone else? It's nice to know when someone else feels the same way about your pots that you feel about them. I mean, we can be a little bit precious about our stuff, I think, at times. It's really nice to do shows. If anybody who's just making pots for a hobby sort of thing, it's good to do a show and sell some of your work. It can be a bit scary at times because the public are there criticising your work, but you get some really nice feedback. You sort of what I'm trying to say, if you're lucky, then people see what you're trying to do, they get what you're trying to do, and it's a nice thing. That one I've just thrown there. I don't think I've thrown the base thick enough. When I lifted it off, it felt a bit shallow. Whoa! Don't want to stick, does it? Get on. This one's got a bit of an air bubble in it. Can't leave the base of this a bit thicker. It's been a couple of weeks since I've thrown anything, and you do get a little bit out of sorts with it. Let's try and get the muscle memory back into action. See, those first couple I did were a bit long to do. That one, this one through a bit quicker. Try and get a bit of spontaneity and immediacy into throwing. It's quite a nice shape. It's strange how you can think you're throwing the same profile of something, and one of them looks alright and another one doesn't. They're almost identical. It can be something as simple as slightly wider than it is tall, or as wide as it is tall, or whatever the proportion is makes a hell of a difference to the feel of the pot when you're looking at it visually. What I did have on my stand this last weekend was a young man named Chris, who was blind, and he's with his mum, and they came along and said, "Do you mind if he has a feel at some of the pots?" And he makes some ceramic pieces. He uses just pottery. Oh dear, it's clay. Get on. He obviously makes all his pots by feel, and it's quite interesting to talk to him about how he actually goes about making his pots. He hand builds things. He's not quite got to the point of getting on a wheel yet, but I'm sure he will. I have some pots on my stall. I don't know if you see the video. Some of the earlier pieces I did were very sort of finished and turned and smoother, a lot less character in them. And those are the kind of pots that people buy with their eyes, and yet with a teabowl, especially the way I try and throw them, I found that people buy my teabowls with their hands, pick them up and have a feel at them, see what they feel like in the hand. And I think that's true of a lot of pottery, to be honest with you. Some stuff you buy with your eyes, and other stuff you buy with your hands. I think it's important. I had a sign on my stall that says, "Please pick up the pottery." So I think that if it's made by hand, it should be appreciated by hand, I think. So I have no problems with people picking them up. You take the risk of them dropping it, but they're usually very cautious about what they're doing. I had one breakage at this show I've just done, and it was me that did it. I dropped a piece. It's only clay. Make another one. Can't be too precious about stuff, can we? One long spiral will do. You're going a bit too fast there, haven't you? Quite like it. Using the rib of my finger to leather this off, mainly because the leather I've got has got caught up in a bit of clay, and I've just pulled that out of the clay with a wire, so that needs wetting down a little bit. But George, my shadow. I'm not opening that door for you. It's cold today. Yes, I know. Awful, isn't it? Right, there we have it. We'll turn them a little bit later. I'm going to make some more big bowls now. I'll include you in on that when I've wedged up the clay ready for it.